The purpose of life is a question which the vast majority of human beings ask themselves or ask others at some point in their life. It might be repeated as people can't find answers. Or it may just be
It's a black guy.
asked once and forgotten.
It's a black guy.
But somehow, some way, people ask this question. And it's not something new to our times. People have asked the question about the purpose of life. From the time that knowledge became hidden, people who ask the question, on the most part, are people who are not in touch with the sources of knowledge which would enlighten them to know the answer to this vital question. And if you ask the various religions this question, you will find people dumbfounded. You ask a Christian, what is the purpose of life? He will not have an answer. If you ask a Hindu, he won't have an answer either. Or a Buddhist. They have been taught some things, but these things really don't address the purpose of life. They have been taught what happens in life. But the purpose of life, why did God create us? They don't have scripture to explain it. And that is why, if you do find a Christian answering that question and you ask him afterwards, well, can you tell me where in your scripture it says that? He will or she will say, no, I can't. This is what I heard. This is what I've concluded. Somebody said it. Whereas, in the final revelation, the answer to that question is very clear. Of course, before looking at the answer, there are some people who don't believe that life has a purpose at all. And those people may be very loud in the media, in our societies, in our time. People like Dawkins and Hawkins and others who very loudly proclaim that this existence is just one big accident. So naturally, to ask the question, what was the purpose when it was an accident, is meaningless. And they have brought behind them science, research, scientific formula, and generally they promote the idea idea that belief in purpose is actually imaginary. It is something made up. It is a false question, which shouldn't be asked. It implies that there is God. That everything that exists is a product of God's creative will. Since, as they argue, this is all an accident, it means there is no God. And they will argue that this position, denying the existence of God, this is scientific, it's logical, it's reasonable. Whereas those who believe that there is a God, they are irrational. They depend on blind faith. No logic. They just believe. Of course, the fact of the matter is that these people who deny God's existence are few in our times. And they have always been few. Which is why when you read in the Quran, the arguments which Allah uses to explain Himself to humankind, to encourage them to reflect and to think about Himself and our relationship to Him. He doesn't address the atheists. He doesn't address them. Except in one or two verses of the Quran. For the most part, he assumes that human beings believe in God. And that is the history of humankind. Everywhere that you go on the face of the earth, every corner, every civilization, every nation, every tribe has believed in God. It is only in recent times, with the imposition of communism in Russia, in China, where disbelief in God became the state religion. But even that disbelief, which was imposed by the communist system, didn't succeed in wiping out people's belief in God. No. When the Russian Federation fell apart, people ran back to the churches and the mosques in droves. And I remember seeing a survey which was done by Time magazine about the percentage of believers, meaning those who believe in God, in various European countries. And I was shocked to see that the figures for Russia were 80% plus. France, which was a Catholic country, and I would have assumed would have been, there were less than Russia. So how, after 50 years of indoctrination, systematically in the schools, in the universities, on the television, in the newspapers, everywhere. God was denied. Yet, as soon as state control was loosened, people ran back to the church, to the mosque. Why? Because it is normal and natural for human beings to believe in God. It is written in our souls. We are born with it. Prophet Muhammad told us, كل مولود يولد على الفطرة. Every child is born with this natural belief in God. And Allah describes it also in the Quran concerning the creation of Adam, at which time all souls that would ever exist in this world were created. And in that state, in the state of the barzakh, Allah addressed all of us, all who came before us, all who would ever come on the face of this earth. He addressed them, us, alastu bi rabbikum, am I not your Lord? And we all bore witness, Bala shahidna. Indeed, we bear witness to this. So it is imprinted on every soul that comes into this world. Belief in God is already there. And that's why you find it everywhere. Of course, the concept of God might vary from country to country, place to place, time to time. But it's nevertheless belief in God. And when we look at these statements of the atheists that may catch the minds of some of our youth today, you can see the exact opposite to what they claim. For the atheist to explain how this accident took place, he will say, anything is possible. That's his basic motto. Anything is possible. So according to him, or her, the atheist, the Big Bang, were it an atomic bomb dropped on a car junkyard where you keep car parts, people's cars are no longer functioning, they take it to the junkyard, you send it as junk, and they take it apart and sell the fenders, wheels, whatever. The junkyard. You drop an atomic bomb on that junkyard. They say it is possible that that bomb would explode, and when the dust settles, you could find a Rolls Royce. Engine humming. Key in the dashboard. Door open, you just have to step in, close, and drive away. We all smile and laugh at that. Why? Because we all know what the statisticians will put on it, they will say 1 to the minus 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. After a billion zeros, they put a 1 chance of it happening. You see, there is a 1. Of course, this is blind faith. This is blind faith in the belief that this could have been an accident. Everything says no. Their life experience tells them no. Their automatic reactions say no. But they will say yes, in spite of it all. So we say, really, the people with the blind faith is not the believers, it's the disbelievers. Those who deny God's existence. They're the ones with blind faith. Because common sense, logic, and reason tells us there must be a God. That's common sense. Design indicates a designer. As Allah mentions in the Quran in so many places, أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. Have you not reflected on the camels and how they were created? Created for that desert environment. Unique. Their design, uniquely designed for the desert environment. Other animals can't do it. They cannot cross the desert. Their feet are not right. They can't hold moisture. They don't have a tank, a water tank. Camel has a built-in water tank that holds water. Enables him to cross the desert. This was not an accident. That's a special design. And each and every creature is specially designed. And all science discovers, wherever it researches and enters into various worlds, the world of the insects, the worlds of the birds, whatever world they enter in, everywhere they find design. Design is in everything. Every snowflake has a different design. Every leaf has a different design. This is not an accident. This is not an accident. And that's why it is not surprising to find that the leaders of logic, the founders of the science of logic, according to history, were the Greeks. And the two greatest Greek philosophers, Plato and Aristotle, both used logic, which they invented, to prove that God exists. So if belief in God was so irrational, so illogical, then how did that happen? How could that be? In fact, it is the opposite. Those atheists will tell you, they like to use this example, that if you put 100 monkeys in a cage and give them 100 typewriters, one time. They say, yeah, possible. So, who are the ones who are illogical? Surely it is them. Who are the people of the blind faith? Surely it is them. Because only blind faith will have you hang on to something so obviously impossible. You're ready to say, no matter how ludicrous, how ridiculous a scenario that you paint, they will say, yeah, possible. You take paint bucket, you pour in colors, green, yellow, red, black, white, stir it up, throw it on the wall. Mona Lisa. Yes, possible. That is blind faith. So belief in God is logical. There are people who say, yeah, we believe in God, but we don't believe in religion. Religion is man-made. There's just too many of them. Everyone claiming they're right. Means people made it up. But God, yes, we accept that. That's reasonable, logical, God. But not religion. However, we say that if you believe in God, you must believe in religion. Belief in God demands that you believe in religion. Otherwise, as they say, God created this world and the people in it and everything and left it to run on its own. This world is too insignificant. When you walk on the street and you see some ants walking, do they concern you? Do you bother yourself? What are those ants doing? Maybe little kids do that. As an adult, you just keep walking. It's too small, too insignificant for you to concern yourself. Similarly, what is the earth in the universe? A speck on a speck on a speck on a speck. Too insignificant for God to concern himself with. Well, if you believe that God did not tell us what we are supposed to do here, what is the purpose of our creation, then you don't understand who God is. Because even your common sense tells you that if you set up a company and you hire workers to come to that company, but you don't tell them what they're supposed to do, how successful is that company going to be? Are they all just going to march in there, find their slots, sit down, and just get doing what they're supposed to do? Oh, you haven't told them what to do? They come in, they find out where is the coffee shop, where is the canteen? Go and drink some chai, tea, coffee, whatever. Until somebody comes and says, hey, you know, you're supposed to be here, you're supposed to be there, you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that. If nobody tells them, the company will be a failure. Our common sense tells us that. We don't have to test it to know. Common sense says you must inform those who you have put in a particular location what they're supposed to do. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. So Allah did not create us in this world and leave us without telling us what we're supposed to do. Because that would be guaranteeing our failure. So, belief in God must produce belief in religion. Religion being the way of life which God has prescribed for human beings. How to live in this world. That is religion. So, Islam has prescribed for us that religion. From revelation, or through revelation, we know that it is a religion which encompasses all aspects of our lives. There is nothing we can think of, act, say, do, which does not have guidance from Islam concerning it. That is the reality. And that is the religion of God, because a religion which only deals with certain aspects of our lives and doesn't deal with others. Christianity, for example, has no system of governance, no economics, no established legal order, criminal law. They had something, but when they divided the religion up into the Old and the New Testament, they basically threw away the law. So they don't have a system. It's not a divine system anymore. In the time of Jesus, it was Islam. But after Allah took him up, people distorted the message. So what are they left with? They're left with a potpourri, mixed, confused collection of teachings, man-made for the most part, with a sprinkling of revelation. A sprinkling of revelation. For that sprinkling, Allah put them in a special category among the categories of disbelievers. He allows Muslim males to marry Christian females for that sprinkling of revelation that remained in them. But because the deen was distorted for them, they don't know what their purpose is here. And that's why you know they're lost. And Allah refers to them in Surah Al-Fatiha, as we recite it 17 times a day. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. We ask Allah to make us not among those on whom is His anger, Allah's anger, nor those who have gone astray. When the Sahaba asked, who are the Dhaleen? Prophet ﷺ said, Christians lost. They lost their way. They don't have the gospel of Jesus, the Injil, which was revealed to Prophet Jesus. They don't have it. So they lost their way. They have other books. Mostly the New Testament are the writings of Paul. Or Saul was his original name, Saul of Tarsus. Those writings are his writings. And that's what they follow. they don't really follow Jesus at all. So then, the purpose of life, as revealed by Allah in the Quran through His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That purpose, everyone knows, or everyone is supposed to know. Everyone is supposed to know. At one time, I used to think everyone knew. But having traveled different parts of the Muslim world, spoken with Muslims many different occasions, I came to realize that even among Muslims, you may ask this question, and they don't know. Can I ask you that question? What is the purpose of life? You know the answer to that? Huh? To pray? To what? To submit to Allah. Purpose of life, to submit to Allah. Yeah? Allah refers it as ibadah, to worship Allah. And that worship consists of submitting to Allah. That's the essence of worship, submission. As ibadah comes from the term abd. Abd, which means a slave. One who has no will of his own. What is required of us is that we submit our wills to Allah. And that was the essence of the story that we've all heard, read, about Prophet Adam in the garden. That instruction not to eat from the tree